Hey everyone, it's Dane here with Love Soul Flowers, and we are here for a late night tutorial. We do try to have regular tutorials, but last week here in New Jersey, that's where I am. I'm in New Jersey, but our warehouse is in California. We had rain every single night, like leftover from Hurricane Ian. My basement flooded, my internet was in and out. It was a crazy, crazy mess, but here I am back again. It is finally nice out again, and everything is finally settled. So if anyone of you, is in Florida, we're thinking of you. And the rain was crazy here. I just can't imagine being there. But we are back, like I said, with this tutorial tonight. I wanted to get some Halloween stuff going for crafts since it's October, and we're gonna do some other fall kind of Thanksgiving things coming up. As you can hear, my kitty cat is talking to us today. I don't know why she's so vocal right now, but yeah, so I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. We are still having our sale up to 70%. That's on lovesouloflowers.com. That's our website. You don't need any coupon codes or anything like that. Everything is already marked down. So that is our website. This is obviously our business page, but our videos do get saved to our YouTube channel, and that is youtube.com/lovesouloflowers. And it's easier to kind of search things that way on YouTube. If you are not part of our community group is facebook.com/groups/lovesouloflowers, and that's where you can share your own projects, get advice if you're a bride or you're a business, or if you're just doing it as a hobby. It's a good place to be able to post and get some feedback, or just look at other people's items for inspiration. So that is really the place where you really get to share. But we try to have regular tutorials here. Again, you can catch them live here on the business page, but if you watch them on replay, you can watch it here on Facebook and comment, and we will answer all your comments in the replay. But on YouTube, you can watch those all the time, but you can search them a little bit easier. Like I said, tonight we're going to do some, hey Kelly, we're going to do a Halloween project. I found this kind of creepy bowl thing at Michael's, actually. We have a Michael's near me. And I was walking around and I saw this bowl and I thought it was kind of creepy, but at the same time I thought, oh, maybe I can make that really pretty at the same time. So this is what it looks like. Excuse me. It is like a bowl, and then these like hands that hold the bowl. So I thought it was like creepy, but kind of like, maybe it's not, like, I can put them on my table or on a side table for Halloween. We had some Halloween projects we did last year as well, some pumpkins and some witch boots. Sorry, excuse me. So if you are looking for other Halloween ideas, you can always check those out on our YouTube channel as well. They're saved there. But this I thought was cute. And we usually do centerpieces, or I usually do centerpieces where I put my greenery first. But I'm going to do it differently just to show you some different ways to do it. And today we're going to do flowers first, then some greeneries, and then some fillers. I've got some black fillers actually. So although I'm wanting it to be pretty fall, I do want to bring some elements of, I don't want to call it creepy, but some elements of spookier Halloween as well, especially because there's these black hands holding our bowl. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I've got a bunch of corals and oranges, some rusty colors, as well as some purples to pop in here. So I will show you those as I go through. I use mostly 2-inch and 3-inch flowers. This is kind of actually a wide mouth bowl, obviously 3-inch flowers will fill it faster. So if you're wanting to do kind of less busy and quicker fill, go for our 3-inch flowers. But I do mix in some 2-inch, and I also mix in some premiums and some fancy things, just to kind of poke in there as well. I am using 18 gauge wire stem. For those of you who haven't worked with Soli yet, 18 gauge wire stem is kind of strong enough that it's not flimsy and floppy, but it's also easy to bend and it's flexible. So I get my wire stems on Amazon right now. And that's that. So let's get started. We're gonna start, let me pull my stems out actually. I do use a paper wrapped stem. I find it easier to clip than the ribbon wrapped. Sometimes the ribbons get like, they fight you on cutting. So, so here's that. And I got my clippers. So I'm gonna stem our flowers as we go, in case I need a longer stem or a shorter stem, according to where it is in my bowl. But I'm gonna just dive right into some of my colors. And if you haven't stemmed a flower, basically the back of our flowers, you're just gonna shoot some glue right there, a blob of glue, and you're gonna just poke your wire right through, and that holds it in there. And you do want it to dry a little bit before you start using it, otherwise it can poke through the other side. I probably don't need this long. All right, let me get a few stemmed. So I'm gonna just, again, pop that glue. And like I said, we're gonna start with our flowers today, although usually I do greenery first because sometimes it's easier just to get a wilder shape. But with a bowl like this, I don't mind it being like a little bit of a rounder shape. So I could do the flowers first and it not be that big of a deal. Like I said, our flowers are on sale right now on lovesolaflowers.com. I do like, if you're looking to do home decor, I do like to do the assortment packs because you get a lot of different sizes, you get a lot of different styles, and you can just kind of make a lot of projects that way instead of having to just buy, you know, single flowers and then looking through your inventory trying to find stuff to do there. So I am going to just stem a few more so that it's not wet when I push it through my foam. I just used a foam disc. I suggest, if you're gonna not use spray foam, which I'll talk about in a second, but I suggest, you know, using the dry foam. So there is a difference between wet foam and dry foam. The wet foam is for fresh flowers because you can fill it with water and the stems go in the foam and it keeps them alive for a while. Dry foam is made for, you know, projects that obviously aren't real. So the dry foam is a little stiffer. It holds in the wire stems a little stronger. And so I used a dry foam disc, and I just trimmed it down to the diameter of my bowl. If I was doing a lot of center pieces, so the foam can actually get a little expensive, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, why is foam so expensive? I'm not sure. But the foam can get a little bit expensive. So especially if you're like have a wide diameter. So if you haven't tried spray foam, now be careful because it is something that you have to be careful with. It's a spray foam insulation. I use the one for windows and doors. It does expand, but it doesn't expand as much as the one for gaps. So you're a little bit safer than worrying about it like exploding out of your containers. But if you get, it's a blue can. It's called Great Stuff is the brand. And it's spray foam insulation. And it works really well when you have a lot of scent. So if you're a bride or making multiple of these kind of things, because once you open it, although some of them will say it's reusable, I haven't found it very easy to actually reuse the can. So once you open the can, you're kind of stuck using it until it's done. So I would just make sure you have a bunch of containers ready when you're gonna do it. But you just spray the foam in, and you wanna do it a little bit less than half of where you're wanting it to end up, because that insulation spray, it does expand. Now again, the windows and doors one doesn't expand as far as the one that says for gaps, but it still does. So I'm just gonna keep stemming a few more pieces here, and then we're just gonna pop them in a super easy way. I just, you know, make sure I don't cluster too much styles of flowers or colors, but otherwise I don't try to really pay too much attention where I pop things in, because I like to be a little bit more random in my arranging. I like to be a little asymmetrical as well. So, you know, your style is your style, but I've got a bunch of different styles here, so I should be good on that. All right, so I'm just gonna start popping them in, and you're just going to, now I like to do this, so this is another trick. So sometimes you've got this hard foam in here, right? And you don't want to, actually let me just spray, let me just put a drop of hot glue. Never mind, it's not coming out. I thought I was gonna not come out, but now it's actually stuck in there good. You don't wanna like shove and push on your actual flower sometimes because the foam is kind of hard. So I have a trick. You take your clippers and you just hold it at the tip of your flower. And then that way you can push it down without having to push on your actual flower. Okay, so if you have some more, you know, gentle ones that you wanna, you know, some of the flowers like these ones, they're pretty hardy, so you're not really having to worry about that. But if you've got some things like peonies or the snow whites that I'm about to use, you know, those are a little bit more delicate. See these guys? So I don't like to push on them because, you know, you can damage it. So I'm just gonna do that right there. Let me get some of this in. And I've got just a mixture of fall colors here. And again, this little creepy but still like cute bowl was from Michael's, like I had said earlier. And I'm just kind of filling up. I am not pushing too far in because I don't want it flat. But I'm just gonna make sure that I fill in a decent amount of gaps. Even though I'm gonna go back with the greenery, you know, you want to make sure that you are, you know, filling in your gaps as much as possible. So I kind of start with a half of a wire and then I trim down as I go. Let's see. So I'm just gonna keep filling. I kind of layer as I go. So I've got this here, but I'm also gonna pop some things on top as I'm going here. Just kind of mixing and matching colors. Again, I just kind of stuck with fall. With the purple, it makes it a little bit, you know, more Halloween-y. Let's see, here it is. Any specialty kind of flowers, I do save for like my toppers. You know, like that go in on your top layer, because I'm actually gonna take this off the hands so that it's easier to see down low. There, I think it's easier to fit in my screen. So yeah, so my topper flowers, you know, the ones that kind of go on the outside. So look, it just kind of looks like a ball. And then I'm gonna, again, come in and just kind of start layering some of the flowers. Again, I do like to do, if I'm going for a more wild look, I do the greenery first. But we are kind of sticking with a little more simple with this look. I do have these. We used to have a flower called Posh. We don't have them right now in stock, but you can use the lotus flower to kind of reenact what the Posh kind of looks like for an anemone flower. But I have two anemone flowers because the centers are painted black. And I thought like it could kind of look like eyeballs, you know. And I don't want to get too creepy, but and there's a time for, you know, people who really love some of those creepy ones. But this is kind of like an in-between where you get a little bit of creepy, but you're not kind of going all out on it. So I'm gonna just pick a couple more colors. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry guys, I tickle in my nose. But anyway, so I'm gonna get just a couple more mixes of color here. I'm gonna stick those in. Let's see, I think I'll do my last purple as well. And then we'll go for the greenery, and then we kind of go for the fillers. So I always do my heavier greenery before my fun fillers. I always call them fun fillers because they're not like the leafy kind of fillers, but we'll go there in a few minutes. So again, let me just kind of start layering. Let's see, this one's good. Actually, let me put one of my little black ones. Like I said, it kind of can look like an eyeball. You see that? And I'm just going to keep going around the circle and kind of just filling. You can bend it with these. I do prefer, even for boxes and bowls, to be on wires as opposed to bamboo sticks. I know some people like to use bamboo sticks, but I like to be able to adjust the heads of the flower. And in order to do that, it has to be on a wire. So I do prefer always being on a wire. And that way I can just flip-flop the heads of the flowers whenever I need them to face a certain way or something. So I'm just getting, and it always kind of looks weird before you get your greenery and your filler, because you know, you don't really have any heights or anything like that. But if you just layer your flowers first, we're gonna get to fillers and it's gonna make it, oh, this little guy got squished. No. All right, let me fix him, he got a little squished. Yeah, so you just wanna kind of layer it, but the greenery will make it a little bit more interesting once we get that in there. So I do use, you know, if you haven't watched our videos on dyeing, we do use glycerin, so they're a little bit soft and flexible. So that way, you know, it looks like I'm kind of being rough with them, but it actually isn't so rough on them when you think about it, because they're nice and soft. We do have videos on how to dye our flowers, how to stem our flowers. We did, I think it was last year, the year before, kind of like a back to basics week where we did, you know, all the just, if you've just started, kind of how do you do the normal everyday things of Sola flowers. So if you've not seen kind of that series, check it out, because some of us always need refreshers, but if you're new to Sola, there was like the stemming, the dyeing, the fluffing. You know, our flowers come in bulk to us, and then we obviously pack them in boxes and ship them to you. And so in that process, you know, every flower can't be perfect. I mean, they're not even made perfect because they're handmade, they're hand cut. They are not machine done. They are done all by hand. And so there will always be imperfections with the flowers. They can't be perfect to you know, our quality control makes sure that they're not broken and unusable, but there will always be, you know, some splits or some squishing, or some, you know, knots of the wood, which I always love. Every time, you know, people talk about the knots of the wood, that to me is what I love, because I mean, you're using wood flowers, so those are always kind of exciting to me when I get the knots of wood. But all of that stuff is not considered like damaged, because these flowers, again, aren't meant to be perfect because they are handmade. So they will pass our quality control if they have, you know, minor things. So we do have videos on how to make your Sola perfect, though, if you're someone who really needs it perfect. I don't mind imperfections. I think real flowers are imperfect. And so I appreciate the fact that they are all a little different. You know, their size is even, you know, a little bit off from each other, because again, this is not machine cut. So you can't make something identical every single time if you're doing it by hand. But I appreciate that. But if you're someone who's like, it's gonna bother me if these flowers aren't perfect, we do have a blog as well as a video on how to make your Sola perfect. And you'll see all the different ways how you can trim petals, how to fluff them if it's squished from shipping. You can use water and glycerin as well, and to make your flowers unsquished. And it's super simple, it takes only a few minutes. Some of our, you know, customers have said, well, oh, why do I have to be the one who does that? But the reality is, at the bulk level and at the sale prices that, you know, we have, you know, we can't sit there and fluff every flower. Plus, we don't want to wet things and then get moldy in a shipping container. So we just ask that you have patience with the flowers to make them beautiful. And we've got here a conglomeration of different styles and colors. Again, so I have this ready here, and now I'm going to add some greenery. So the first greenery I'm going to add is a ficus. We have a couple styles of ficus online. There's a round leaf and the regular Real Touch kind of pointier leaf. So I'm just going to tuck some of this in. And this is my greenery. It's going to kind of fill in spaces. But I have another greenery that's going to kind of be the one that kind of comes out of it and give you some shape and some interest. But I got the stuff. So our Real Touch is a little, some of it's a little shinier, since real leaves, and that's why it's called Real Touch, are dewy, you know. So those are meant to be shinier. and that is the purposed look for them. So I'm going to be using, after I use this last piece, I am going to be using the Real Touch Seeded Willow Eucalyptus. It comes in stems, separate stems. It's not a bush, and you can take each, it comes with like a little bundle of stems, and I'm going to just be inserting those to give it some height as well. So see just little greens peeking through, and now I'm gonna get to my height. So this is the Real Touch Seeded. Now I'm gonna see, it has like a little stem cover for itself too. So you can pull that off if you need the sharper end to go into the foam. I'm gonna see if I need to trim this down or not. Might need it might be a little too high. And I'm gonna make it a little asymmetrical. Like I said before, I'm kind of someone who doesn't like things perfectly like round or perfectly, you know, perfectly anything. I kind of like everything a little bit off. So it's a little bit tall, but instead of cutting the bottom off, I'm just gonna cut this piece off here. And we're just gonna keep filling. Again, hey Kim, I'm just gonna keep going around. I filled this pretty tight with flowers. If you have gaps, obviously it's easier to find where to put things in, but if you don't have gaps, you just kind of slide the flowers out of the way and pop that greenery in there. So we got, I'm gonna trim this one down a little bit. Hey. Yes, making them perfect. So if you actually type in on the website in the search bar, like how to make your sola perfect. Hey Tammy, still too long. If you type in how to make your sola perfect, there's videos. It's like a whole list of videos on how to trim them, how to fluff them, how to store them. All that kind of stuff is in there in the information, because, you know, again, we can't make sure every single, you know, a million handmade flowers going out, you know, they can't make sure that every single one is perfect. And we don't, you know, we have high quality. We don't ever promise perfect because these are handmade, you know. Oh, no problem, Vicki. But sometimes, you know, there's a little chip in the petal. And all those things you just kind of clip, you know. And here's another thing about, you know, the time and effort to make your sola. Like, just, I know that sometimes we're in a rush, but sometimes if you just take your time and enjoy that part of the process too, you don't get as frustrated having to do it. So, you know, but again, I don't actually do anything. I don't think I've ever really, I mean, besides fluffing, and usually, you know, if you're dyeing your flowers, you're fluffing them at the same time. But I've never actually like fixed raw sola up anyway. I don't cut it or trim it or any of that kind of stuff because I just like it not perfect. I think that's kind of part of the charm of wood flowers. But again, if you're the kind of person who know that, you know, a little split or something is going to bother you, there are ways to take care of it. And we just ask that you have, you know, patience with the fact that these have to be, you know, in a box. So I've got my greens kind of coming out everywhere. The light's kind of bright, so the colors in real life are a little bit darker. They're not so neonish, but they're more a little fallish. But the ring light makes them a little bright, but all right. Sorry, my glue gun is always a pain. I'm always having to use my mouth here. But I'm just gonna keep filling. Again, this is the Real Touch Seeded Willow Eucalyptus along with round ficus to just fill in the bigger gaps. And it's just kind of deconstructed. The Real Touch Seeded comes on little stems. The ficus is a stem that's kind of got like a lot of offshoots. So, okay. So see how it's kind of spiky and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you again what this was on. So we've got the hands that hold that. So again, this looks brighter on my screen, like the green looks brighter. It's not really as bright, and it's just that the ring light in order for you to see stuff is kind of bright. So far that's what we've got. Now we're gonna add our little bit of creepy, which is gonna be our black fillers. I think that's gonna be nice to kind of tone things down. So I'm gonna do these, I don't even remember I got these, but I used these last year and they kind of look like, I don't even know. They're a real plant, and apparently, you know, whoever the vendor was, you know, painted them black. Oop. So I'm gonna break some of them off. These are kind of gentle and fragile, but I'm gonna break some of these and we're gonna add some of this black stuff into it. I'm not a person who's afraid to use color. I don't mind using a lot of different colors, as you can tell. Especially with like fall and spring are the best time that you can just kind of like use almost any color in the range of the season and they look good together. But I want to add this black to kind of tone it down on fall and make it a little more Halloweenish. Okay, I'm gonna do one more here. All right, so when you have something like these, especially when they're as fragile as this, you're just gonna put, oops, my God. You're just gonna put the glue on the stem and slide it in. You're not gonna try to get this stem obviously into the foam. So what I do is I put some glue on the end, and then when you slide it in, just make sure it catches on something and that'll hold it in. And so we're gonna just go around and put these little black guys in there just to bring it, again, a little more holiday season Halloween as opposed to just fall. I mean, although when I hold it up, I'll show you again if you don't see the bottom of this bowl, but it's got hands on it over there, I'll show you, and it sits down in the hands. So it is obviously gonna look Halloween-y, but obviously the little added of black gets it too there. So I'm just gonna go around, I'm gonna put these guys in, and then I've got some black thistle that I'm gonna put kind of sprouting out. Again, I don't mind the asymmetrical look. I know that it bugs a lot of people. Some people just can't do asymmetrical. If you're gonna do asymmetrical though, don't be just like a little bit asymmetrical, because if you're just a little off, it just looks like you didn't mean to do it and you're a little off. So if you're gonna be asymmetrical like this, it's, you know, on one side, not the other side, you know, just go for it. Because sometimes if it's just a little off, then it really feels like maybe you didn't mean to do that. but we are meaning to do that here. I do like things kind of sprouting out one side and drifting down the other side. So, you know, there's a balance, but if you're gonna go asymmetrical, just do it, in my opinion. So, all right, I've got a few more that's coming along. Again, just this added black. These are kind of like weirdo looking. You can find a lot of, you know, black fillers at craft stores, but you've got to definitely think ahead a little bit. Like for instance, craft stores already have Christmas out. Halloween is already on sale. So fall is already going out. And so you've got to be someone who thinks ahead if you're really wanting something specific. Now, the good thing about waiting to the last minute, like I often do, is that usually it's on sale by the time the season actually is happening. So that's one positive about being a procrastinator in some ways. I have a hard time planning ahead, but if you have shows, obviously if you do craft shows or farmers markets, you always got to be a couple seasons ahead. So like right now there's Christmas out, you can go grab Christmas stuff now. But I'm always the kind that catches it like after it's Christmas and it's on sale. And then I save it for the next year. But all right, this is the last one of these. Ow, it's burning my finger. Okay, so I've added the blacks, little bulby looking things. And again, we still kind of stayed elegant with it. You know, you could even do, you know, they have like black brooches if you want it like elegant, kind of sparkle, because I feel like Halloween can kind of be sparkly and it be like at work. So there's actually even black brooches, black, you know, shiny things that you could actually put in these kind of things too. Now I've also got this black thistle, and it kind of just reminds me of like little spiders. So I thought this is kind of cool. And I'm gonna make these kind of stay popped out. I want them to be kind of floating outside of the arrangement. So don't be afraid that even if your arrangement is kind of a lower arrangement, to have things that kind of, like I said, like I guess I use the term like float above and pop out. So do you see, like, I'm just gonna have them kind of floating above. And then, so don't be scared to try some things with heights and things like that. Sometimes it's just about doing it and seeing what happens. You know, if you don't like it, you just take it on out. But I like these kind of sprigged up like that because, again, we're trying to get a little bit of a creepy feel. So this is my last one. If you're gonna do only a few things, always do in odd numbers. Even numbers tends to just not look right. It's kind of a rule of floristry that things should be done in odd numbers. If you're gonna do things of 3, you usually try to triangulate. Obviously you wouldn't want all 3 on one side, so you try to kind of triangulate it. Now it doesn't need to be a perfect triangle, but in a way it's kind of triangulation. So see how I'm gonna leave those kind of sprigged out, because I kind of think that's kind of what gives it a little bit of a creep, a little bit of a boingy boing. Sometimes I can't think of words, I just make up stuff. So, but it gives that, like, I don't know what the word is. Y'all come up with better words than me, but so here's my finished product. Again, it's got, again, the light is making these greens very, very bright and standing out, but in real life, they're not. You can even, you know, tuck these to go down a little bit here. I'm gonna actually move some to make it kind of spill over the bowl, and then it'll be a little bit closer to the hand's base. So let me put a few of those, I'm gonna aim a few of those down. And obviously you don't have to do this, you know, it doesn't need to be Halloween. This is a good way to make any type of arrangement for any season. But I think some of those kind of like a little bit of a creepy element help it be Halloween, but still, you know, house appropriate if you're not really big on like scary and creepy. So here's my bowl, and then I'm gonna put, here's the holder, these hands. And again, those little springies, don't be afraid to let things spring up, but also don't make them like antlers, like straight up. When you have things come out, always put it on an angle, so it's not sticking straight up, it's more like a V. Okay, so do in odd numbers and more like a V on a slant. You never want things sticking straight up like it's raising its hand. Okay, so do you see how the hands hold that? I think, isn't that cool? And this is just, again, the colors look much more off in this lighting. It's shining them in weird ways. They actually match much better in person. It's kind of oranges and rusts and corals and all that. And then some purple popped in. So it's fun, it's springy, and it's good for the center of the table. And then also you can just, you know, take the thing out. Now another thing too, if you didn't use the spray foam and you do use regular foam and you don't secure it in there, if it's like just say a gold bowl that you made, you can actually make these toppers. It's not gonna come out because mine is really tight, but if you make it where you can remove these, but you love your base, like let's just say it was gold or silver or something like that, you could actually change it out for the seasons. And then that way you can keep your base the same, like for your kitchen table or your side table, and just switch out the topper parts. As long as you don't secure that in there, those could be interchangeable. So this is, again, the round leaf ficus, the Real Touch seeded willow eucalyptus. I've got a mixture of flowers. Again, if you are new to Sola, the best idea is just to grab an assortment. You'll have all the different sizes. I use only 2-inch and 3-inch flowers in here. And then just the use of asymmetry and kind of things popping out gives it that kind of funky funky feel, especially that you like kind of during Halloween. It's kind of a time to be fun and fantasy kind of thing. So, and that's it. So this was a one that, again, a lot of times my arrangements, I do the greenery first. It's just easier to shape. But this is one, like a bowl, that it's kind of easier to do the flowers first. So that's what we did. We did the flowers first and just popped in the greenery after. It also saves a lot on greenery. So if you like the shape of something like this, it does save on greenery because you don't need to fill the whole bottom with greenery and it not be that big of a deal. So let me hold it up one more time so you can see the base. Again, this was at Michael's. It's hands, like, let me put it that way. It's hands holding it. It was in the Halloween section on sale. I thought it was pretty cool. I was thinking even maybe if you put some like cotton hanging off or like some little webs, you know, dripping down off the edge. You can kind of make these things as creepy as possible. And little spiders, if you want to get little black spiders, and put those in the flowers even. That would be cute and fun too. So be creative, make these things your own. But I just try to show the basics of creating the arrangement parts. But the stylization is all gonna be our own kind of taste and feel for that. So thanks for bearing with us as we had, like I said, last week, I couldn't come online because it rained for 4 or 5 days straight here in New Jersey. We were getting a little bit of Ivan because I do live on the ocean. And my basement flooded, my internet was in and out, and so it was just a really crazy week last week. So thanks for being patient with our tutorials. I'm glad I was able to come on tonight, and we will do more this week for Halloween, and then we'll go into harvest / Thanksgiving. So again, if you're watching this on replay and you have questions, feel free to ask the questions and we'll respond by replying to it, typing an answer into it. And then you can find these videos on YouTube. Eventually, after it finishes, we load it up on YouTube, and that way you can see a list, our channel you can subscribe to. It's youtube.com/lovestilltheflowers. And you can do a search for specific things you're looking for. And then, of course, one last thing, our sale up to 70% off on lovestilltheflowers.com, and join our community group where we give tips, tricks, advice, all that kind of good stuff, and just a community. I think we really become friends, which is what part I love, and that is facebook.com/groups/lovesolaflowers. All right, everyone, have a wonderful night. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Kathy. Oh yes, we had like 6 fans blowing in the basement on the carpet. It was crazy because we have a finished basement, so it's been a little bit insane here. But we are now dry, and the weather is actually beautiful. It was 80 degrees yesterday, so it's kind of just wacky. New Jersey is wacky. I don't know where you all from, what states you're in, if your weather is as wacky as New Jersey. But I am on the shore of New Jersey, so we have like, it goes from like 40 degrees to 90 degrees in like 2 days. So it's just very weird here. But we thank you guys for being patient with us. And we look forward to seeing your creations, especially if you have Halloween decorations. Please put those in the group and give people some inspiration in there as well. All right, everyone, have a fabulous night.